Welcome to Dear Prudence. I'm your Prudence, Jenée Desmond Harris, back from parental leave. Today we'll be answering your relationship questions. There's one from a listener rekindling with his ex and her children who like to snuggle up with the couple at night. Another who's nervous about starting a relationship for the first time in 20 years. And a daughter who hates how well her dad treats his fiance, and more. Here to help me out is Solomon, Missouri. He's a pastor at AME Zion Church in Snowhill, North Carolina. His areas of interest are race and social justice, contemporary religion, pop culture, and relationships. So if you're thinking, I know that name, but I don't even go to church, it's because he got kind of famous from a series of hilarious viral tweets about the struggles of modern day dating. I was going to try to describe the tweets, but I think one of the worst things in the world is when someone tries to repeat someone else's jokes and they're not funny. So I'm just going to let him read the tweets a little bit later. Anyway, he describes himself as chronically online and thinking about community. And his book, Not a Biblical Dating Book, which considers how spirituality impacts dating, will be published this year. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so happy you're here. I am going to have you read those tweets. But first, I wanted to give you the chance to give everyone one piece of unsolicited advice.
Okay, so my one piece of unsolicited advice, and I want to be as broad as I can giving this, would be to, in these times, which are very like fraught and there's so much tension, is to cultivate spiritual practice.
Mm,
I don't care what religion or spirituality that you cultivate, but it's deeply important for us to find places and ways to center an ethic of self-love and care and joy, especially joy in this moment. What we do in congregational life is make sure that we center celebration, like all of the ways that you are flourishing in these moments. And so, what I would suggest is unsolicited advice is to find a or cultivate a path of spirituality. Tell people all the time, if it's Jedi, if it's Franciscan, if it's Christian, if it's Muslim, if it's Buddhist, find a way. If it's just literally walking outside and embracing nature, find a way to cultivate a spirituality. It helps your soul, it helps your inner person, and most of all, it helps you to gauge the world around you as not a zero sum game. And so,
mm.
cultivating a spirituality is important in this moment.
Say a little bit more about the zero sum game part.
Yeah, so I think what happens because there is so much tension in this moment, everything becomes a all or nothing equation.
Hmm.
And that's just not true. There are some things that are important. And when you leave everything to the auspices of being a zero sum game, everything becomes a life or death situation, and we don't have ways to regulate emotionally, regulate intellectually, regulate spiritually. What's to say, okay, this is important, but I don't have to like effectively die on this hill. I
Mm-hmm.
can actually say, okay, I don't need to give everything to this. I don't need to give everything to this moment or this interaction. A lot of people see me online and they come with all kinds of things that are weird. I just ignore it because I don't need to sow into misery as a medium of exchange. Misery will not be my medium of exchange.
And that's because you have a spiritual practice. And if you didn't, you would just be
Yes,
going back and
yes.
forth with people online. Um,
I mean, I will because I
right.
can be petty, but I effectively say, okay, there are some things that I don't need to give my heart and my soul and my spirit and myself and my time to, because we're vessels and we're limited and we don't have an infinite amount of time. We have a beginning, a middle, and end, and we have to choose how we're going to use our time and use our resources and use our talents.
Yeah, every once in a while you just have that revelation that we're all going to run out of time. It kind of puts
Yeah,
things in perspective, doesn't it? On that dark note, we're gonna take a we're gonna take a quick break, and when we get back, the two of us will work on giving some advice that's maybe a little less heavy. Welcome back. You're listening to Dear Prudence, and I'm here with Solomon, Missouri. Let's go ahead and start with our first letter. It's titled Second Try.
I'm giving the relationship with my ex, Amy, a second go. We have a 4-year-old daughter together, and she has a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old pair of boys from a previous relationship. Their father isn't in the picture. We broke up when my daughter was a toddler because my work required a move and she didn't want to make one. I work 7 on and 7 off, so we were able to make an equal custody plan work until she got laid off and was facing eviction. I rent from family, so my situation is more secure. I told Amy to move in and let's try to be a family again. It's mostly worked except for one problem. I've always let my dog sleep in my bed, and Amy absolutely hated it, so I started creating my dog. But Amy will not do the same for her kids. Our 4-year-old knows she has to sleep in her bed and only gets up after her light alarm wakes up. Her older brothers will not stay in their beds. Bedtime is a constant battle of needing another water or a cuddle, or they want to sleep with their mom. When I get home, I can't even sleep past midnight without one or more of the boys trying to crawl in and push me out. Amy makes a half-hearted attempt to enforce the bedroom boundaries when I'm here, and then ignores them when I'm gone. Her answer is the boys just need more time. But I need privacy. I need adult alone time, and I need Amy to actually act like my partner. She's far stricter with our daughter than the boys. Her sons get to goof off and not do chores or homework, and Amy just lets them, while our preschooler gets scolded for forgetting to pick up her plate after dinner. We ended up having a huge nighttime fight because I was about to leave for work and wanted to be rested. Instead, I got kicked in the groin for 4 hours before my alarm because her second son crawled into bed. Amy actually laughed at me when she woke up and saw me curled up. I sent her son out of the room, and we had it out. Amy got angry and said I couldn't possibly compare her sons to my dog. Well, I did better and compared them to our daughter. I get it if the kid is sick or has a nightmare in their room, but adult space should be adult space. Did Amy really want her sons bursting in while we were having sex? It's come close to that more than once. I ended up leaving tired and angry and ordered a camping bed off Amazon to put in the room with the boys. Now when I'm home, I shake Amy awake when the boys come in and tell her to go to their room to sleep. Everyone is really unhappy, and I'm frustrated as all hell. Amy talks about marriage and me adopting her boys, and I'm willing to put in the work. But I'm afraid that Amy isn't given how something as simple as this blew up. Help?
So, these are two people who don't like each other that much. Yet, they broke up and decided, you know what? Let's just get back together. It's probably easier. Um, that's my segue to get you to read your series of tweets about how it's just hard to be dating and some people just don't even want to deal with it.
Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Let me center myself spiritually. But let me tell you something. You don't want to be out here. You think you want to be out here, but you don't want to be out here. When you get out here, you're not going to want to be out here no more. Last time you were out here was different. You think it's something better coming, but I gotta let you know the best you're going to get is what you already got. I don't know why you don't want to like go home and fix it, but this ain't going to be what you like when you get out here. All they talk about when you get out here is podcast and plate fixing. 14 minutes of being out here, you're going to start saying these females. If you can make it work, please do so. You don't want to be out here learning TikTok dances and falling off milk crates. That was popular at the time.
It was.
Love the wife of your youth. But right now they want rounds. You better pray about coming out here. You think it's a game to you in the middle of a pandemic and there's 60,000 people pointing their finger at you rapping Flo Milli lyrics. Do you like turmeric? Charcoal ice cream? You better learn to like it. You don't know nothing about it being a sneaky link, knocking on the door of a 22-year-old with 3 other roommates because she got a side piece. You're going to be wearing a hottie t-shirt by Thanksgiving. You better ask your wife to forgive you. You better go listen to Lemonade and pray about it. You don't have the cholesterol to be out here. They're not eating peanut butter pecan out here. Bluebell ain't out here. You can be chasing Cialis with Red Bull. Do you know what the group chat is? You better learn what the group chat is because you finna be the subject of the group chat. Do you know how to make a mimosa? Tulum? These people are 60% crab leg, 30% iced coffee, and 10% vape pen. Beloved, whatever went wrong, go back and make it right. They are pegging out here. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you. These people are children of Rihanna born in the fires of chaos. You ready to leave your wife of 30 years till you wake up surrounded by rose quartz and moon water. That actually happened. My message is simple. Go home and be a family man.
Okay, so that is what our letter writer did. He said, whatever went wrong, I'm going to go back and make it right. And Solomon, was it a mistake? Now that he has these kids kicking him in the groin in bed.
Okay, so I'm Southern. I'm always say it's never a mistake to try to go back and make your old lady whole. Be family. Never a mistake to try to be family. But I think where the mistake came in is you all tried to effectively be family under the auspices of an inequity. So
Hmm.
she was about to get kicked out of her apartment. She got laid off. You were in a more stable situation. And so you said, well, in order to help my daughter, I can extend this courtesy to the mother and the child, the other children. We have the space. We can be family. We can try again.
Mm-hmm.
There's a disparity there.
Right.
And so the economics of the issue also affect the intimacy of the issue. And so in your mind, you're thinking, well, now you've moved under kind of my roof. I understand the mapping, like the ideas behind what you were doing. And you were thinking, oh, this is my house. So these boundaries that I want to establish will come along with you moving into my space. So the second thing is there's not a shared space, right? This is your space. You're moving it in your family home or your family
Mm-hmm.
property. And so you're thinking, well, I will have more control, even if it's like just the appearance of controls, right? Um, and so you expected boundaries to come with the move, but you didn't communicate boundaries.
I didn't read anything about we got back together because we missed each other and loved each other. And we're really compatible and we're excited about raising a family together. I didn't really get a hint of that. I also don't believe the initial breakup was just because he got a job out of town and she was like, no, thanks, I don't want to go. That's
Mhm.
not a decision you make when you have a child together.
Right,
You make that decision if you also don't enjoy being around the person.
right.
So I think there were some underlying flaws in the relationship,
Oh, you always got to
bigger than
remember the
co-sleeping.
yeah. You always have to remember the reason why you broke up. You broke up for a reason, and there's some like you said, the underlying issues concerning why you actually broke up. But you bringing into this an expectation of you're going to follow kind of my rules because I have this like sphere of control over you from shelter and you like your economic situation. But here's the other thing. When he said, "Why can't you create your children?" Mm-mm, I don't like that.
I don't
I
either,
don't.
but let
I
me
don't like
let
that.
me pause because I want to ask you. I thought I should share my biases on this letter, so I'm going to ask you too. Do you have any strong feelings, one way or the other, about dogs in bed or kids in bed?
No.
Okay.
So let me say this. Everybody's different, and I understand
Mm-hmm.
everybody, um, come with their own type of like situation. So that I'm dating Pie, and I
Mm-hmm.
call her Pie,
That's so
and
cute.
yeah,
At first,
and
I was like, "Oh no, that's not her name." I got confused.
no,
Are
no,
you
no,
talking
no.
about-
That's
Okay,
I was given permission to call her Pie on the show.
that's really sweet.
Um, Pie came with the dog. She
Mm-hmm.
loves the dog, right? That dog is gonna
Jodeci.
do. Yeah, yeah. Now I don't have a
Jojo.
dog. I don't have
Mm-hmm.
children. I don't have it. That was not my setup. But I understood that what come with Pie come with the relationship, and so either I accept it or I don't. Pie dog leave all kind of little what's dog hair and
Mm-hmm.
all this. He do all the things a dog does, right? And at 5 o'clock every morning, Pie dog want to come up in the bed.
Okay, and you allow it.
And it's
Tolerate it.
because all of it, either you in for it all or you in for nothing, especially when it comes to single moms, right?
Mhm.
Because this woman, one thing I know about single women, they're going to find a way to survive. They're going to like get it in gear.
Mhm.
So she found a way to survive without you, with your child. The decision is now yours. Is this in for a penny, in for a pound, or are you just kind of sort of in because it was convenient? And it just sounds like you in because it was like kind of sort of convenient. But she's going to survive. So don't think this is charity.
Right.
Either you're going to be in this relationship like wholeheartedly or you're just not, which
And
means that you're
she's
going to
going
have
to
to.
choose her kids over you, I would guess,
Yeah.
every time. So my bias about the kids is like I let my kids sleep with me. And I think it's great. But I know that reasonable people can disagree on whether that makes sense and whether the bed is an adult space and whether kids should have an alarm clock that tells them when they can get out of bed or what have you. Dogs, I don't care. I'm not a huge pet person, but I don't think it's disgusting. I can totally
Mm,
understand why someone would want their dog in bed. Um, I think he's failing to recognize how emotional a mother's care for her children, desire to comfort them is. Um, and unfortunately, the more he tries to stop this from happening, kicking the kids out of bed at night, the less she's going to feel emotionally intimate with him, I
mhm,
think. So he can
mhm,
win on this. He can say, this is the rule in my house that you've moved into. But I don't think he's going to win emotionally. How is she
mhm,
supposed to want to be enjoying adult time with him in bed when her kid is like crying, locked in the other room?
mhm.
It's just not going to happen. It's not. I'm sorry, it's not.
Yeah. Like, do you want to do family or not? And that's really
Mhm.
what came of issue here because again, from him describing like, oh, you can't create your kids. Listen, man, are you in this or are you not? Because all of this comes with it. It's not
Mhm.
perfect. It's not like a cookie cutter type situation. This is the chaos of living with children, of doing family. Um, and you can say, okay, well, how do we negotiate this? How do we work out or carve out time for just, us? But at the same time, you need to be all right with, carving out time for the aggregate of us, all of us, to
Mhm.
like be in those soft spaces. And this other part about it, cultivate soft spaces for your family.
Yes.
Like, get into it. Like, really be there and like, oh, it's time to. If we gonna snuggle, everybody gonna snuggle. The 9-year-old, the 10-year-old, the 4-year-old, the 32-year-old. We all snuggling in the bed, right?
If anything, he
Because
should be negotiating for bringing the dog back more than kicking the kids out. Because he
that could work.
decided the rule is, well, you don't like the dog, so I created my dog, so you need to create your kids, our kids,
Hmm.
the other kids. And yeah, I think a better compromise would be, I know you need to sleep with your kids. I'm not going to kick them out. They've been through a lot, first of all. Side note, these kids don't have a father in their life. They had a stepfather. Then there was a split. Then they were in a situation where they were almost evicted. So then they had to move again. Now the stepfather's back. It's no surprise they need some extra comfort. I would hope that he would acknowledge that. And note to Amy, if you want someone to adopt your children, I would want them to be someone who would have some ability to recognize their emotional state and want them to be okay. But yeah, I always worry about relationships where it seems as though the people don't want what's best for each other, where it's become
Hmm.
adversarial and you're
Hmm.
sort of fighting for your rights and what you want and what's reasonable, the way you
Hmm.
would approach a neighbor with whom you share a property line over a
Hmm.
dispute about where the fence goes. So once you get to
Hmm.
that place where you're just fighting for what you want and telling them they're completely wrong and the other person's fighting for what they want, that's not a relationship anymore, is it? I don't know how
Yeah.
you come back from that.
Well, yeah, I think that once you are adversarial, it doesn't really move, right?
Right,
That's
right.
kind of we're really not only like just like those specific things, but the positioning in the relationship, like who is dominant, who is submissive, like who gets to make the rules, who is like planning, who is scheduling. All of those things are in an adversarial relationship are what's being logistically negotiated.
Mhm.
And there's very little room for love and for like care. Like the thing
Right.
that you're supposed to be doing, there's no room for that.
Right. And you can have big differences. I mean, I totally understand that some people just cannot sleep with a child's body in the bed. But why did we go straight to waking everyone up and kicking the kid out instead of like getting up and going to sleep on the couch?
Uh-huh.
Why, if you're asking Amy to sleep in the room with them, did you buy her a camping cot when they have lovely air mattresses that are exactly like a bed for like $39.99? So to me, there's just like a hostility there. And Amy's not innocent either. She was over there laughing when he was crying from getting kicked in the
Yeah.
groin. And also there's this allegation about her discriminating against the toddler
The
girl
4-year,
compared
yeah.
to the boys, which is a whole other thing. So I'm not saying she's perfect. I'm saying you two are not kind to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that more than the sleeping arrangements is the problem. And that problem would exist even if these boys started sleeping 12 hours in their bed and not bothering it all overnight.
Yeah, because people who actually like want to work it out find the ways to work it out,
Mm-hmm.
and people who don't find the ways to antagonize each other until they've come to a
Exactly.
breaking point. Yeah.
Exactly. And just to be clear, I don't think they should break up because they can't agree on sleeping arrangements. I think they
Hmm.
should break up because the sleeping arrangement fight is telling me something about
Yeah.
what I imagine will be many more disagreements based on child rearing, personal space, finances, control, just a whole host of things.
Hmm.
It's not all about the bed,
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
clear.
I think that the bed is just emblematic of deeper issues. Ow.
Exactly. So our next question is titled To Love or Not to Love.
I'm an almost middle-aged guy. 38, but I don't feel like I'm near my midlife crisis, so I've been resisting that label. I'm pretty introverted and happy being alone, so I've been mainly single for the last decade or two. Overall, I'd really enjoy a partner for both the physical and emotional aspects, but I want someone who fits into my life rather than taking it over, and the same for me into their life. I don't want kids, for example, so I'm not going to date someone who wants them, and I value travel. So I'm looking for someone whose view is wider than their hometown. So I've never had a partner, a girlfriend, a serious relationship since college. I date fairly regularly using apps, but I've never been in a longer term relationship since my 9-month college sophomore girlfriend. Currently, I'm pretty exhausted of the dating apps. I'll get a match or two a month if I try. I'm pretty picky, but also I'm a pretty average looking nerdy guy, so I have no illusions about how many people I should be pulling in. But unless the conversation is promising very quickly, I unmatch those people. I'm just tired of carrying the conversation or going on boring dates with people I just went along with to have someone to go out with. So I guess that brings me to my question. How do you know if you like someone? There's a woman in my friend group who I enjoy spending time with. We hang out every week or two at a group event, and we do stuff together with smaller, more specific events, such as we'll go to the same weekly pub trivia night, both of us skipping occasionally, and also hang out at occasional board game nights, etc. She's someone I would consider, if not one of my closest friends, a good friend. In that group, I would regularly reach out to on weekends to go to an event or come hang out at my house. She's someone I'm happy to spend time with in a group or one-on-one. But lately, I've been getting a bit of a vibe from her that she might be interested in me. Nothing specific, just things like deciding to be on my team for trivia when there are multiple teams with openings. Hanging out after events with a few of us as we grab one last beer when she only drinks one beer a night and sticking close to me. Always jumping into events that I bring up in the group chat, but not being as enthusiastic about similar events others suggest. It doesn't sound like anything special, but for how introverted I've been, I'm pretty good at intuiting if someone likes me. And I'm sort of getting that vibe. Flashbacks to high school and all. This all seems like a good thing, or at a minimum, a non-issue. If I'm not interested in her, I could just tell her that if she seemed like she wanted something more, no harm, no foul. But that's the question. How do I decide what I value in a partner? She seems really cool. I like her as a person, but at the same time, I don't know if I'm attracted to her. In terms of pure physicality, she's attractive. She's got all the characteristics I'd consider attractive in situ. But when I imagine being with her, there's just something missing. We like the same things, but with enough difference to make things interesting. She's smart. We have similar values. She wants more than the status quo. She's a physically attractive woman. She has a sort of pull on me, but at the same time, I think about being with her and I feel nothing. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts? On the one hand, I could see being with her and being happy. She's awesome. But on the other, I could see being completely unsatisfied because it's not a match and we don't really fit together. But then, I haven't really had a relationship for almost 20 years, since college. So why not see what happens? But on the other hand, I enjoy my uncomplicated, completely self focused life. I guess that's the big question. Am I being so incredibly self centered due to inertia? I swipe left on 90% of people I see on apps, and the 5%, if that, of matches I get from that, I don't message or unmatch 50% of because something puts me off of them. Or am I just ignoring things that would be good because I'm too lazy? How do you know?
So I don't want to be dismissive because I do think there's some real questions in the letter. But my first thought was just, nobody asked you to be with her. It's okay. You don't have to. Like she didn't ask you out. She didn't say she liked you. You don't have to compromise and date someone who's only sort of attractive to you but kind of bores you. She didn't ask. Like you can just move on.
Okay, so here's the deal. I read this letter like 3 times and I was like, I know it's here. Like he's making it a her thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really a him thing.
Mm-hmm.
So what he's not done is cultivated an intimacy of self where he knows what he wants, what he likes, and has negotiated what bringing someone into another world would look like. All right. Because there is no calculation, healthy calculation that says you can date someone and they're going to be like in your world.
Mm-hmm.
No. Being together with someone else means that we're going to create another reality, right? It's mine and it's yours, and there are going to be some pieces of me and some pieces of you. And you're not procuring a hostage, an emotional, like social hostage. This is not hostage taking, right? This is us making the decision, the consensual decision to like be in relationship with one another. And so things are going to change. You're going to make some negotiations, right? And if you're saying that you don't want to negotiate on anything, right? You just want like this person to go along, get a dog. Dogs are like really happy to like go along with whatever you want to do. They're
Mm-hmm.
excited about it. But if you want to be in a relationship, and this is the other part, you don't have to be in a relationship.
Right.
There are many ways of being. It doesn't matter if you're like, oh, I'm, getting close to a midlife crisis. Who cares? Ball out. Do whatever you like want to do the way you want to do it. But don't go out here and, as you would say, like pity date someone
Right.
because you think, oh, they're just around. No,
And
like
they chose to be on my trivia team, so
yeah,
I gotta give
like
them a chance.
maybe you're good at trivia. She just like to win. I know people who just like to win, which is fine. I like to win, right? But like when you're talking about intimacy, you're talking about like choosing to be in spaces and places with someone, to give support, to give care, to be like their emotional harbor. This is not a situation where you're saying, "Oh, I'm just going to do this for like, oh, as like a mercy date." Nah.
So you're talking about choosing and negotiating, and I hear that. But don't you also think this is just too much thinking and not enough feeling?
Oh yeah, he's like uh analysis paralysis.
Right, exactly. And I think that's kind of a sign. It kind of falls under the category to me of like in the dressing room when you're trying on clothes and when you're dating, maybe means no. If you're
Mhm.
like, well, this could look good, I guess if I were to go to like a gospel brunch and I had different hair and I lost a bunch of weight and it was a different temperature than it's actually going to be, then yeah, this dress could work. Don't buy that dress because it's for a situation that you're not actually in.
Right.
And I think the same applies to dating. If you're having to justify the possible yes to yourself by who the person is on paper and how you think you should feel about them, that's a maybe.
Mhm.
And
A
maybe
maybe is a
means
no.
no.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is naive or like too hopeless romantic of me, but don't you kind of want a relationship to start with a feeling rather than an analysis? Just a pull toward the person, an excitement about the person for reasons you can't totally explain.
Yeah, I think that when you are, like, considering the auspices of relationship, you do want to allow your brain to again, feelings are information, right? But allow that feeling aspect of the information seeking that you're doing to like be the front thing versus saying, oh, is this the right look, or is this like the right social position, or do we have the same kind of interest? Like, what does your heart tell you about this person? When you think about this person, what is evoked, right? Do you wanna be around them? Is there an impulse to, like, be in their space, to,
Right.
like, cultivate, care for them?
Because relationships don't aside from maybe combining finances and taking care of each other when you're old, they don't make a ton of practical sense. In some ways, life is a lot easier being single. So you have to have something driving you more than a list of pros and cons that has more pros, um, or a theory about the kind of person you like and that the person scoring 90 out of 100 points according to
Mhm,
your criteria. Like, I was talking to a friend recently who is dating someone, and he wants to move in together soon. She just doesn't want to. She just doesn't want to live with a man. And her reasons were so good. She doesn't want to share her space. She doesn't want to deal with someone else's decorations. She doesn't want to hear
mhm,
somebody snore. She already has trouble sleeping. And I was thinking that makes so much sense. And the
mhm,
only thing that would get you to deal with all the little inconveniences that come with sharing your life with someone, to make the compromises, would just be the feeling, like just the
mhm,
magical, feeling that is what all the R&B songs are about and that everyone has been talking about for all of history, that just draws you to someone. And I feel like that is completely missing here.
mhm.
Completely. And
Yeah.
also, pretend this woman does like him. Let's just believe that she has her eye on him and she's been communicating it in very subtle ways and she would love to date him. Wouldn't you hate to be her if he did decide to date her? Wouldn't you hate to be with someone who was looking at you going, I don't know if I'm attracted to her. There's kind of a piece missing. Um, I'm just not so sure. She just doesn't really excite me.
Mhm,
That would feel awful, and
mhm,
I think it would come out in the way he treated with her and interacted with her. I think that's the kind of feeling that's behind the letters we get where women are saying, and it is usually women, "My husband doesn't get me gifts," or "My husband won't go out and do anything fun with me," or, "My husband doesn't seem to listen when I talk about my day." The
mhm,
underlying feeling is probably I don't really like her that much. I think she's that interesting.
mhm,
And, letter writer, you wouldn't be doing this person any favors by dating her, when you
mhm,
don't have authentic enthusiasm for her.
mhm,
So pass. Don't do it. Don't pursue it. Either wait for the feeling that you see someone and you just light up and you can't stop thinking about them and you want to call them and you start imagining a future with them. Like, that's the normal feeling to have when you pursue someone. And if you do think there's something going on with you that's keeping you from having that feeling, I think the letter writer said he was incredibly self centered due to inertia. That could be a real thing. But I would suggest trying to work on it outside of dating another human. Like, try to get yourself to a point where you're not as self centered and can have a crush and can be excited,
mhm.
and can want to share your life before you actually have the person right in front of you because you don't want to put someone through that.
Yeah, can I actually say this, concerning what it looks like to do work before you do relationship?
Yeah, please.
Um Finding yourself, especially like men, finding yourself in intentional community, it do not have to be church, right? It can just be any type of community where you are not the head, not the lead, and not in charge. That you are a person who is contributing to the health, one, two, well-being, And 3, consistency of that community. So health, well-being, and consistency of community. That gives us the ability to say, 1, I'm going to do this work in community for others. It gets us used to not being the central, the locus of needing care, needing attention, needing to have the spotlight on us. No, we need to like turn that dynamic around and care for others. Like as men, we need to care for others, right? But then the other thing it does is it says, okay, I have something to give that is not associated with like income.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about being there, being present, supplying like needs emotionally of the because that's all intentional communities are doing. They are forming around like a deal, a thing, but they're really being help and care for one another. And so, be sure. I know this is gonna be, like, difficult because people, like, just wanna say, like, "I got it on my own. I understand it." Please understand, these are the ways that we improve and that we grow our hearts so that we might be able to share our love, share our compassion, like, do family. Once you're saying, "I don't have to be the center of it, I can be a contributing person or, fixture in community," that's when I'm ready to do love.
It occurs to me too that the more you are thinking about community and kind of how you can serve others, that just decreases the number of minutes in the day you can think about what you want and what you need and how you are. And like you said, all this analysis, this navel gazing type
Mhm.
stuff
Yeah.
that I think is getting in the letter writer's way.
But the other part about it is you are okay. You are fine. You do not need so much subservience. You do not need so much like people genuflecting, in your direction. And we're taught as men to like go after it, to get it, to like to be the boss. But no, be of help, be of service, be willing to be a person who can like be competent and able within community. Be useful. Be useful.
So that's our advice to the letter writer: go out, put this relationship to the side, this
Yeah.
non-relationship, this situationship that nobody has even tried to start. Go out into the world, find community, be useful, and
Mhm.
see if it shifts something inside you that lets you do more feeling and less thinking. Okay. You're listening to the Dear Prudence Show, and when we come back, we'll be reading more of your letters. Stay with us. Welcome back to Dear Prudence. I'm here with my guest, Solomon, Missouri, to answer your letters, and the next one is titled Uncertain Times.
I'm a 30-year-old woman who's certain I don't want children. I do want marriage or life partnership, and I feel ready for that to happen in the next few years. I could use some perspective on the question of dating and how people navigate their partner's uncertainty about kids. I've been with my boyfriend, 34, for about 6 months, and we are in love. On the question of kids, he says he's a maybe. When I press him for more of his thoughts, he says he could only see it happening if his material circumstances change significantly, i.e., he's not underemployed and always broke. And he also stresses to me that it's not something he's really given serious thought about. I am nagged by the question of whether it's logical to keep dating someone who is not on the same page about kids. Or rather, part of me knows it's not logical, but do I really throw away a good relationship after just 6 months because of it? The longer we date and the more invested we are in our relationship, the more painful it will be if we do eventually break up over this. And if I end up dating him for, say, a few years and then we break up over the kids question, aren't those years that I could have been using to find my non-kids wanting life partner? So do I break up with him and only date men who say they're certain they don't want kids? Does that even make sense, given that people change their minds?
So, as we all know, having children is a really big deal. It is a lifestyle choice, is an understatement. I can definitely understand wanting to date someone who feels the same as you do, especially in your mid to early 30s. That's kind of getting to be around the rubber hits the road for having children time for a lot of people. But normally when we get these letters, in my inbox, it's the woman who really wants kids and the man who is not so sure, right? Here, the letter writer is certain she doesn't want them, so we don't really have the issue of like biological clock. That makes me feel like it's less urgent. And she could probably ride this out for a little bit longer. Is that bad advice? What do you think?
Yeah, one thing that I came away from this question with was, if you are enjoying the relationship that you are in, it does not have to be a be all end all. Like all relationships don't have to end in permanence. You can just like vibe. If he's saying that he's not sure where he is on kids and you're enjoying the relationship, okay, enjoy the relationship.
I think I'll be devil's advocate. I think her fear is that they stay together, they're enjoying it, traveling, having a great time, having friends, keeping all their money, exactly the life she wants. And then all of a sudden she's 40 and he's
Uh-huh.
44 and he
Uh-huh.
says, I want kids. And she's like,
Mhm.
I still don't. And he says,
Mhm.
okay, we're going to break up. And he goes and finds a 30-year-old to have kids with. And she's like, well, damn, now I have to start dating again at 40 and start from scratch and find someone new. Maybe that's when I said it, I thought it was going to sound horrible. Maybe it's not the worst situation in the world, is it?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, there's one of the fears that our generation or this generation, several generations have around like dating is that they don't want to break up. Guess what? Breakups happen.
Almost all the
Like,
time.
yeah, like it's a thing. And we have to cultivate courage in order to say, okay, if if I'm one, I have the courage to love and I have the courage to move past things that have not worked out.
Yeah.
There is always that fear that this relationship may not work out the way we want to. I understand that. But I hope, and my hope for those who are thinking through the institutional relationship is that we not simply retreat to our fears, but also invest in our hopes. That I hope this relationship is something that gives me care, that something allows me to practice love and get it out of my body, and it's something that speaks to my partner as well in
Mhm.
those kind of same ways. And so, not so much retreating to our fears, but investing in our hopes. What is our hope for this relationship in these places? If y'all have only been together for like 6 months, just rock. You good. You don't have to go to the end of the road right now. Check back in a year, see where you are with it, see where he is with it, um, and kind of go from there. It doesn't have to be so permanent.
I think that's such good advice. Is this all in your book?
Oh yeah, yeah. I do an
Yeah.
entire chapter about courage.
Yeah, it actually reminds me of something I heard once, which is that it is better to focus on having trust in yourself, that if a
Hmm.
relationship ends or someone cheats on you or whatever, you get broken up with, that you'll be okay.
Hmm.
It's better to do that than to try to create a situation or sort of choreograph a situation where you'll never get hurt.
Hmm.
Anticipate all the ways you
Hmm.
could get hurt and avoid them,
Hmm.
which is just exhausting and
Hmm.
doesn't work because you really can't control other people and people are allowed to do whatever they want in relationships, unfortunately. Um, so it's a better use of your energy just to try to figure out how you will be happy and okay regardless.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I think that it goes to the place of us building walls instead of building futures, and you can keep your walls keep everything out, but it doesn't let anything in.
yeah. And I think on a practical level, like you said, check back in a year. Um, Letter writer, if this is something that's nagging at you and you're saying, oh, okay, well, you guys are telling me it's fine if I get broken up with at 40, but I don't want that. Easier for you to say because you're not going to be
Yeah,
the one, you know?
right.
I think it's okay to set a deadline to bring yourself some
Mhm.
sense of order and comfort. So whether it's put a reminder on your calendar for 1 year or 2 years or 18 months, whatever it may be, that way you can sort of put it out of your mind and
Mhm.
just say, I'm going to revisit this on a certain date and see if I'm happy, if it's still working, if my anxiety is still making the relationship less enjoyable than it should be. But until then, have a good time, right? Because
Yeah.
what's the point? Relationships are supposed to bring you joy. So you don't want to waste whatever months or years you do have being all stressed out about the future.
Yeah, and can I just say that one of the ways that we sabotage care is that we put it on a timeline.
Mm-hmm.
This is not about timelines. This work is not about, oh, I have 2 years to find somebody or 10 years to find somebody that's gonna, like, make me happy and that I'm gonna be able to be in this space with. No, this is the work of, like, literally saying, "I'm okay. I have cultivated a life that is good, and because I have cultivated a life that is good, I'm able to bring someone else into that life, and I'm able to share it, but I don't have timelines for it. I'm not gonna put myself on a timeline. I'm not putting myself on a clock. This is not like the Final Four, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't there's no clock for you. The exercise, the practice is, again, getting the love out of your body. That takes many forms in many places. But what you wanna do, um, at a foundational level is make sure that you're saying, "Okay, the love that I have to share is not exhaustible. There's no expiration date on it. It's like not milk, right? This is still good love."
I mean, I don't think anyone, maybe after your book comes out, but right now I don't think anyone thinks like that in terms of getting the love out of their body. I think people think about getting the love into their
Mhm.
body.
Yeah.
And that's tough because someone else controls that, right? So
Mhm.
that's why you worry so much about what other people do and if they might change their mind and what's happening on their end. But it feels so much more calming and peaceful to think about the job being to get the love out of your body. So yeah, letter writer, I don't think you need to break up at this moment. I don't think you need to break up in the next 6 months. Um, I'm okay with you putting yourself on a little bit of a timeline paired with maybe trying to work a little bit on the way you feel about what a relationship or a lack of relationship means and what's possible for you. Okay, those are all the questions we have for this week. It's been fun and hopefully helpful. Thank you so much, Solomon.
Thank you. Love being here.
You can stay updated on Solomon's work, including watching his sermons and listening to his podcast appearances at solomonmissouri.com, and follow him on Twitter at solomonmissouri. Do you need help getting along with partners, relatives, coworkers, and people in general? Write to me. Go to slate.com/Prudie. That's slate.com/PRUDIE. The Dear Prudence column publishes every Thursday.
If you'd like to hear your question answered on the podcast, we're looking for letter writers who would be comfortable recording their questions for the show. You can stay anonymous.
This episode of Dear Prudence was produced by me, Jenée Desmond Harris, and Maura Currie. Production support from Anuli and Ononye and Cameron Drews. Daisy Rosario is senior supervising producer, and I'm your Dear Prudence, Jenée Desmond Harris. That's all for this episode, but join us on today's episode of Prudie Plus. Solomon stuck around to help me give advice to a letter writer who hates how well her dad is treating his fiancée. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts by clicking Try Free at the top of our show page, or visit slate.com/PrudiePlus to get access wherever you listen. The episode is available for you right now. We'll see you there.